Same thing.
99.17.
We had actually quite a big rise in the pound on the back of the announcement, a bit of a surprise move, of course, from the Prime Minister. We had the market already falling, the stock market, the FTSE 100 was down, and that's been pushed a lot lower on the back of that, mainly because the pound has had just a strong day, so you're seeing a bit of repricing of stocks and forecasts for earnings on the back of that. I think the move higher in the pound is a reflection of the expectation that the Conservatives will win, will be the largest party for the election, they'll form the next government, and that gives you the stability, it gives you the sort of stability at the heart of government that the markets like to see. And that's why I think people are relatively calm about this one, because it's one that the polls are pointing to a fairly solid and predictable result. It's often the case that you get a move higher in the currency and then a fall in the stock market, because a lot of these UK companies have earnings overseas. So the rising pound makes those revenues more expensive, makes their products more expensive overseas, and so decreases the chance of a strong earnings report. And that's why you see people selling the shares on expectations of a weaker performance. It's the reverse of what we had after the Brexit referendum, where the pound dropped sharply and the FTSE 100 went up quite a lot, because you had that expectation of they're being more competitive overseas, selling more products, and thus having bigger profits. Yeah, there's a sense that a lot of the minutiae will take a back seat now, that will have a sort of focus on the UK as a whole and the outlook. Now, that will mean that the indexes like the FTSE 100, the FTSE 250 will be front and centre, and of course the pound, the UK government bond market as well. A lot of it will depend on what we see in the manifestos that will need to be rushed out in the next couple of weeks, presumably, and statements from the party leaders. And that will mean that we'll be keenly watching for any clues that will emerge in the next few days. Well, again, it's very difficult for the market to work out what happens next. At least with the polls as they are at the moment, it looks a fairly predictable outcome. Of course, we learned last year, of course, not to get trust too much in polls. But I think we can fairly anticipate the outcome of this one. But as you pointed out, you've got a long period ahead of us now of uncertainty, with fresh Brexit negotiations even after the election, and of course the potential Scottish referendum, that mean that it's a very uncertain period for markets, and it'll be difficult for them to work out really what the UK will look like in a few years' time.
As a result, it goes, obviously, they're not trying to get this, this would be deemed a part of Brexit.